So we're going to talk real quick about episode 1. We're kind of doing both week 1 and week 2 because week 1 was like just one episode. So we're going to talk real quickly about it before we jump into week 2, which we have more to say about. Week 1, though, what happened?
Tia and Colton.
Tia and Colton. Too much Tia and Colton. I'm done with it.
That's it. That's all that happened. Great. Here we go. Week 2.
That's great. Okay, so week 2. The first thing I have to say is Goose Gang confronts Colton. That was the first thing They confronted him, all right. Colton said, you guys gotta play those goose games.
They did.
And boy, did they. The Goose Gang was going strong this whole episode.
Hey, some more did happen in episode 1.
The Goose Gang was established.
The Goose Gang was established.
Chris is a silly goose.
Chris is a silly goose, and he made up the Goose Gang. The Goose Gang is just a bunch of the guys, and they all are somehow protecting Tia.
I couldn't tell if Chris was the ringleader of the Goose Gang because it sort of felt like Jordan sort of became the queen bee. Like, he sort of became the Regina George by the end of it.
Yeah.
The, like, most fashionable one who was in charge of the group and, like, decided all the rules and was kind of, like... I feel like anytime anything happened in the Goose Gang, he had something to say about it that, like, I agreed with.
Yes. Jordan is the voice of reason.
Jordan says what we're all thinking.
He is. He is the next Chris Harrison.
Part of the Goose Gang confronting Colton was Tia still not knowing if she should go for Chris or if she should go for Colton.
Yeah.
And Astrid asked her a remarkable thing, which was, did your vagina dance when Chris kissed you? My heart and my head are saying different things, and I just kept thinking, like, but is your vagina dancing?
Colton still loves Becca.
Yes.
So he's not sure about Tia. And Tia's real upset about it.
Yes.
As anyone would be. However, she says that she's done with Colton. However, that's all she talks about.
She says that like 3 times. She says, I'm done with Colton. Later she'll say, I'm cutting ties with Colton. It never ends.
Crystal and Kevin started making out on the daybed.
Oh, yeah.
They were fine.
They were fine. Venmo John is in shape! Exclamation point, exclamation point.
Guess he is.
I just wasn't expecting him to be as ripped as he is. Honestly, he's more ripped than Jordan, and Jordan's the one who's all about his physical appearance.
It's really true. It is. We also got an astrology lesson from Jordan.
I loved it. What did he say about himself? He's a Capricorn.
He's a Capricorn, but he was like
an emotional Capricorn or
ferocious.
Lovable or something.
Some kind of Capricorn. I think Annalise was...
She was a Libra.
A Libra. Now we know. David...
He was inspired by her artistic skills. She said she painted, and he said he loved girls who do things with their hands. And then she said she liked to refurbish furniture, and he said that it was inspiring to him. He was inspired by that. And at this point, I shipped Jordan Elise.
We did. We did.
Sweet Jordan Elise.
Nice
while lasted.
David, I just had David shut up. David, once again, has no personality other than the fact that he doesn't like Jordan. That's it. That's his whole personality. Astrid got real. Someone asked her if there was any other man in her life right now, and she said her mom's dog, which we thought was relatable.
Kevin's really confused. He never seems to know who he wants. Later, he gets asked about his romantic attachments, and he's like, I kind of like Astrid, but I'm like, that doesn't sound like a ringing endorsement to me. So I don't think Kevin and Astrid are going to go.
No, he was real upset when Crystal went on a date with Kenny. He was real torn up about it, but then he was like, you know what? Astrid's here. So everything's going to be fine.
Oh, yes. Chris sat everybody down, and he said, there's a storm coming. And someone was like, yeah, I've expected a storm. And he was like, oh, and a figurative one. And I was like, I thought we were talking about a figurative one, but I guess lightning is on its way. Tia shocks no one, because
she says the same thing every time.
Same thing.
She just says something about Colton, and that's it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so Jordan and Annalise had a pet this episode.
It's going to keep them together.
Yeah, Jordan brought her a stuffed dog.
Big one.
Big one, because she is afraid of dogs. And now he says that they have a pet.
Together.
Yes.
We do know, though, in promos that it's going to get thrown into the ocean, or at least we thought it was. more on that later.
Well, Tia threatens Colton, but Tia does pull him aside, and she's like, "Hey, I don't want to be put on the back burner." And he's like,
That's the only place I can
he was
put
like,
you.
I kind of want to see other people too. And she was like, "I don't want to be your second choice." And he was like, "But I don't know." And then she was rightfully angry about it. And then he got upset because he just wasn't okay with the fact that she wasn't okay with the fact that he wanted to be open to other people.
I didn't feel bad for him. He was like, "You expect me to, like, be monogamous, like, all of a sudden?" And she was like, "Yes, or we're not going to be together," which, like, seems fair. Some women want that, and he was freaking out about it. And so they rightfully split.
I said she cuts things off with Colton, and she's going to go to Chris, which is her second choice. And then Colton approaches the Goose Gang, but he wrongly refers to them as the Three Stooges. When we all know that's the Goose Gang.
Goose Gang for life.
Annalise wants marriage now. Like, she just wants
Oh, yeah.
to. She is into Jordan, and it is day 2.
It seemed really sweet, though, because he said when he got there that he was there for her. Chris begins church. Because, yes, the rose ceremony.
The rose ceremony.
I wrote down the couples as the rose ceremony stands. So Crystal chose Kenny. That was nice. They went on that wrestling date. They seem very platonic, though. I don't think anything's going on. I think she's not that into him. Yeah. Astrid chose Kevin. Predictable. Tia chose Chris. I was surprised that was earlier. That was as early on in the rose ceremony as it was. I thought they would save that as the dramatic finish. Yeah. Kendall chose Joe.
We love Kendall and Joe.
We like Kendall and Joe. Annalise chose Jordan. Kept him around. That's good. Nisha chose Eric. Those two aren't getting any screen time.
We don't know what's happening. I don't know either of their personalities.
No, we don't know. Chelsea chose David.
Again, I don't know either. Well, we know David's personality, and it's just hating Jordan.
Angela chose John. I'm glad she did. We love John. I don't know much about Angela, but I'm glad she kept John around. And then the big twist, Bibiana chose Colton. R.I.P. Wills.
Producers probably told Bibiana to choose Colton
to keep him around.
We have to have Colton around.
Bibiana just birthed some drama. So, the mama of drama, Bibiana. Women don't want to be Colton's guinea pig, is what I had to say. Because he seemed like he keeps saying, "I'm here to figure out what I want." And women don't want that. These women know what they want. They don't want you to kind of date them a little bit to see how you feel about it. No. And Becca came. Was your perspective changed forever?
Yeah.
Because Chris Harrison said that was what would happen.
Yeah, but then she went and talked to Colton. And
he was crying a lot.
He's still in love with Becca, and he doesn't know if he wants to be here. Which is,
why did you come?
We could have kept Wills.
The producers wanted it. I'm sure the producers told him to come to this. They were like, "It'll help you figure things out." And he was just not over Becca, which was sad. But also, like, the show wanted me to feel real bad for him.
I didn't feel
that bad. Sweatpants Nick. Goodbye forever, Sweatpants Nick.
Yeah,
don't miss
Sweatpants Nick.
He thought that his 30-second conversation with Chelsea would save him, and Chelsea, like, winced when he talked to her, so... Bye!
Bye, Sweatpants Nick.
Won't miss you.
Jenna.
So now we're moving on to part 2, is really what I think is going on.
Jenna.
I was nervous because part 1 of this week really had me on Team Jordan and Annalise. I really liked them. And when they teased that some new girl was going to come in and get between them, I was really worried. And they made it seem like I was going to be mad at Jordan, but I could never. He's my puppy. But Jenna came in, and I thought I was going to be mad at him ditching Annalise, but it was love at first sight. We witnessed love at first sight on this show.
It was truly magical, life-changing. My perspective was changed. I went on the journey
like, he was like, I want to give you a kiss for your birthday. And then he just, like, started kissing her neck. Like, he was just so, like, caring. It wasn't just, like, a sexual thing. It was, like, he seemed like he really cared about her, even though they literally met that day.
They're getting married.
They discussed marriage. I'd normally judge them. I'm on board. I liked her pink hair. But Jordan said about her that she claps when she smiles and when she laughs, and that his eyes clap for him when he smiles. So he really identified with her, and they just have a happiness that they just see in each other. It's really sweet until David tries to butt in, but he can go to hell. Jordan also said about her, someone who understands the brows and the power that they have.
They get it.
They're meant for each other.
They went on those horses.
Even though they were afraid.
They went on those horses. And now they're in love. Yeah, so David comes up and he's like, it's your birthday, Jenna. Here's a cake. She's like, David, you're so nice. And then Jordan comes over and he's like, frick that birthday cake. And then he throws it on the ground. Caroline shows up.
Yes. I wasn't expecting her. I feel like Caroline likes, she wasn't on much of Ari's season. I kind of forgot about her after Ari's season. But then she sort of was part of the, like, girl gang that came to Becca's support after Ari did what he did. And so she was sort of part of the gang. And now she kind of acts like she's more important than she was. Everyone's kind of like, oh, Caroline, I don't remember you, but okay, you're part of the gang. But no one really expected her to go to paradise. And now she's here. We're like, okay. But then she had a really cute connection with John.
She did.
I liked them. This was the episode of established cute relationship that you think is really cute and you think is really nice, and then bring in a third party that messes it up, but you kind of like that relationship better. Here comes Jubilee. And Jubilee and John are so compatible.
They both do math.
They're both way smarter than everybody else.
She programmed radios or something along those lines.
They're both like sciencey people. He designed them.
Yes, she says she totally has that app.
To which I said to Taylor at that point, I went, tap that app. Insert like Seinfeld music.
They're really great together.
I like them together.
And Caroline's really nervous about it. She hopes that it goes terrible.
There's a lot of nervous women right now. Annalise is freaking out. Caroline's freaking out. 4 women are going to go home with the next rose ceremony. I understand. They're nervous.
Crystal goes and breaks up with Kenny.
After Kenny, he made like a picnic with her, and he set up a blanket and candles and a heart around it, and they were like lying down together, and then she was like, we should be friends. And he was like, okay.
And then he goes and he talks to Eric, and the whole final scenes are this beautiful analogy where Kenny says that everyone here is a lab rat, and they're all just searching for the cheddar.
The cheddar's not going to come to you.
You gotta go find it. Tia cuts ties with Colton.
Until 5 minutes later. Although, I will say, I liked I thought it was going to be them, like, getting back together. But it was really just, like, Colton pulling a solid for his friend. Because Chris, even though he spent so long being like, you should choose me over Colton, because I'm only here for you. I don't care about anyone else. I'll commit to you. So she chooses Chris. And then what does Chris do?
He makes out with Crystal.
He'd never kissed a blonde before. I've never kissed a blonde before, and I want to give you that title. And she, stayed on the other side of the bed, oh, do you? And he's like, I think you're really far away. And then he scooted over to her and, pulled her in. So I still think, she was into it, but he was more, searching for it. But Jordan gives him this, pep talk where he, pulls the High School Musical and says, you got to get your head in the game. And I feel like he was really encouraging him to, see other women besides Tia, because he was like, well, you've got Angela, you've got Chelsea. He was pushing her towards all these women who have not gotten that much screen time. And then in comes Tia, because Colton's told her what's up, told her what Chris did. He was going to get him, and that was the note we were left on.
Chris says, quote, the goose doesn't know what direction he's going to go in tonight. And then Jordan responds with, paradise is just a loaf of bread, and he's nom 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 going at it. And then they start making bread calls, and that's how the episode ends.
You can hear like Colton and Tia like discussing like serious things with like bird calls. Oh, and then we had Kendall and Joe having tuna fish sandwiches.
I think that's all this week. Stay tuned for next week, where apparently Tia and Colton are going to get into something once again.
I hope I never hear the word goose ever again.